Hi, and welcome to this video where we delve into the answer to the question, how to hit a home run in baseball. Hitting a home run is the most sought after hit in baseball, right? People who hit home runs consistently are viewed as some of the best hitters in the game. So we'll talk about what goes into the ability to hit a home run in this video. The first part of this video, we're going to be talking about the importance of being on time and in rhythm in the baseball swing in order to hit a home run. And then we're going to be looking at launch angle, and this kind of modern concept of the angle coming off the bat, the importance of that. Of course, we're going to be talking about force applied to the ball and how to generate that and why that's important. Then we're going to be talking about being on plane and how being on plane factors into this whole idea of being able to hit home runs. And lastly, we're going to be taking a look at the life of one of the greatest hitters of all time. So when we talk about being a good hitter, that's not just about hitting home runs. And there's three aspects to that. It's being on time, in rhythm, and on plane. Well, two of those three are absolutely vital for hitting home runs, and that is being on time and in rhythm. So first, let's talk about being on time. Being on time is really getting the head of the bat, that fat part of the bat, when it connects with the ball, you're going to be in one of three zones. Each of those zones is going to cause the ball to be in fair territory or within play. The first zone, A-B zone, is basically when you pull the ball, right? So you're a little bit out in front of the plate. You are hitting the ball squarely, but the ball is going to go somewhere between left field line and left center, or right field line and right center, depending on whether you're a lefty or righty hitter. That's that A-B zone, and you are pulling the ball. The B-C zone is when you're hitting it up the middle. You're kind of hitting it from left center field to right center field to center field, right? That quadrant or that third of the field is where this ball will travel when you are hitting it in the BC zone. Hitting it in the CD zone, you're going to hit the ball to the opposite field, all right? So you're driving the ball the other way. Again, that's either to left field or right field, depending on whether you're a lefty or righty hitter. So being on time means that you're making solid contact, head of the bat, on the ball in one of those three zones. Being in rhythm means that the timing of your swing is accurate, or accurate is probably not the best word, but everything's in sync. It's in rhythm. It's all flowing together. If you've watched baseball at all, you can see sometimes hitters, they still might get hits, but you can see when they are out of rhythm. Their hands might be a little bit out in front or a little bit late and back compared to their hips and their arms and the whole rotational aspect. So when they are out of rhythm, if they are on time and on plane, they still may get hits. Sometimes they can be out of rhythm and not on plane and hit balls that still end up being hits, little dribblers or little pop-ups that just barely get over the infield or things like that. But if you want to hit the ball hard, which is the surest way to get a hit, or in this case, hit a home run, you want to be on time and in rhythm. That's going to allow you to provide the most force in the swing to hit the ball the farthest. The second aspect is the right launch angle. And this is a relatively newer concept simply because of the idea that we can measure it better with modern technology and all. This is a stat they actually keep track of now, is launch angle. Essentially what the launch angle is the angle the ball leaves the bat at. And if that angle's too high or really high, you're going to get like a pop-up, right? Or maybe it'll just be a shallow fly ball, or even to a certain extent, a deep fly ball. But that fly ball will be too high to travel the distance it needs to clear the fence. Launch angle too low is going to be a ground ball, right? You're actually driving, it's a negative launch angle. You're actually driving it into the ground. And the steeper that negative angle is, you might get what a chopper, right? Baltimore chop or chop right in front of the plate, something of that sort. You could hit the ball like really hard, be right on time. The launch angle isn't high enough to clear the fence. So you hit it really hard and it goes out into the outfield, but the launch angle wasn't high enough, so it's never going to get over the fence, right? So that's where launch angle will come into play in terms of hitting a home run, because you obviously have to hit it hard, but it has to be an angle such that it's going to travel the furthest distance, get the right backspin on it to clear the fence. The next piece of this is hitting the ball hard, right? And that's going to be that force. That's the bat applied to the ball. And that's going to be a combination of the mass of the bat times the acceleration of the bat. So acceleration is really going to be key here. The bat mass does not change much for most MLB players. Some of the bigger, stronger guys can swing a little bit heavier bat, but it's not going to be a significant difference. You still have to be able to wait long enough to really swing the bat fast enough to be able to generate the power and the force to get the ball to travel the ultimate distance. So it's that acceleration that really becomes a key to hitting the ball far. And that really begins with your ability of your core to rotate fast around the spine, right? That's what you're kind of rotating around. And as your core accelerates and drives the rest of the swing, then your arms and hands fall through and all. The head of the bat has to accelerate through the zone in order to keep up with the rest of the body and hands and all rotating through the swing. So the force of the swing is all about the acceleration of your body and bat through the hitting zone. Next piece I want to mention briefly is this idea of being on plane. Now, the ultimate hit in baseball would be a line drive home run, right? One that doesn't need to clear the fence by much, but it is a low liner, it's hit really hard. The reason that's the ultimate one is it's most likely to land for a hit. A line drive, MLB players who hit line drives hit significantly higher batting averages than those who are just hitting fly balls. Part of it is the speed of the ball. It's harder to cover the ground to catch up to it. And if the height is high enough, it's going to clear the fences because it's being hit hard enough. Also, the head of the bat, when you are on plane, the head of the bat is staying through that hitting zone longer, so you're more likely to make solid contact somewhere in those zones, either the CD zone, BC zone, or the AB zone, right? So you can still hit the ball authority if your timing isn't like right there in the middle, which is that BC zone, and you can still hit the home run to the opposite field or pull the ball, right, by being on plane. So being on plane for being a good hitter is essential. For maximizing distance, it's not essential. Maximizing distance, being on plane may not be exactly what you want, particularly when you're hitting pitches like breaking balls and all that have a much steeper downward plane than a straight fastball, right? So if it has a steeper downward plane, to match that plane, you would actually have to have even more of an uppercut, which is a little more difficult to do and all, but that launch angle might not be right to hit a home run. But you might be able to hit really hard into the gaps or just over the infielder's head, or even on the ground. There are some guys who hit the ball really hard on the ground that go for hits. So that launch angle is crucial for hitting a home run. Being on plane is crucial for making solid contact. So for a real life example, We're going to look at one of the greatest hitters of all time, perhaps the greatest right-handed hitter who ever played. And to do that, we're going to look at somebody who played in the 1920s, Rogers Hornsby. So he played in the 20s and the 30s. And we don't want to look at just the absolute numbers that he had, because what you really want to try to do to figure out their greatness is how much better they were than their peers in that time. This is especially true with like batting average, right? Where if everybody's hitting 350 and you hit 360, that's not as big a deal as if you hit 360 and everybody else is hitting 260, right? Your ability to get hits is so much better than the average. Well, the reason we're looking at Rogers Hornsby is his ability to hit for power and average. So while this question was all about how to hit home runs, you don't want to necessarily sacrifice, and sad to say is I think there are a number of modern day players who have sacrificed being able to hit for average to get more power. Rogers Hornsby and a number of those great all-time guys were really good at putting the bat on the ball and hitting the ball hard with authority. Rogers Hornsby was one of the greats at doing both of those, and actually is the only guy in MLB history to win the Triple Crown twice. That is leading the league in home runs and batting average, and also driving in runs. So leading the league in home runs and batting average is quite the feat. It speaks to your ability to drive the ball deep into the ballparks while also hitting for a high average. And that really is the ultimate for anybody who wants to be considered exceptional at hitting a baseball. And the ability to hit home runs comes from doing those things well. Again, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and go there and check out all the other videos. But I'd also encourage you to subscribe to our free webinar, Enhance Your Students' Performance in Athletics, Academics, and the Arts. You can find the link to that webinar in the description. That's going to take you to my site where some of these webinars are, and just look for that title again, Enhance Your Students' Performance in the Academics, Athletics, and the Arts. And just click on that, that'll take you to the registration page. But I encourage you to watch that video today.